Welcome everybody, my name is TimeFlash and I'm going to give you guys a little tutorial here on how to make a flying block elevator. Now, I know a lot of people out there, really when they try to make elevators, they try to make themselves something that's really either pretty or something that's efficient or something that's cheap. Not really going out of any of those for this. I'm literally just going for looks. Like, I'm making something that's interesting, it's fun to use, and it makes you actually want to use it instead of, dropping down a hole in the water or using a ladder. It's something that's a little bit more intricate. It's actually a redstone build flying block elevator. And it doesn't kill you. I know there's a lot of tutorials out there that will have these elevators all in like these 1x2 configurations. These are actually going to be in 3 blocks. So when you're going up and down, even if you are lagging, if you fall down or go up a block during the fall, you actually will not hit your head and you will not clip through a block and get damaged. So that's a really good aspect here. Another thing too I would like to point out, I made this specifically on odd parity. There's another thing I've always seen a lot of elevators when either I tried to make some, looking at other people make them, or just seen other people make them in general, they were always 2x2s or they were 2x3s or something of the sort, but they were always by 2. They always wanted to make it 2 blocks wide. Well, I know there's some people out there that either want 3x3s, which I probably could make, but regardless, I just know there's a lot of people out there who build an odd parity. So I've actually made this elevator because I found nothing but 2x2s and such when I was looking online, so I decided to make my own. I made one that's actually a 1x3 on the inside. As you guys already can tell, you guys can't jump up in this thing. So that's enough for 1 or 2 people, enough people to crowd in here, but I possibly could make a 3x3 one here in the future. But nonetheless, this one's odd parity. It simply has open and closed doors. You're able to actually tell yourself to go up and down on your own command, and you can actually have a call button to call it when it's on the opposite floor. Unfortunately, this design can only do 1 or really 2 floors here. So you're going between point A and point B, maybe above ground to your underground base or something like that. I haven't really designed anything for multiple floors. No doubt you still can. You probably just got to move a couple blocks with pistons. Stuff I'm not too avidly good with redstone with. As you can probably already tell, this thing's pretty big. This is a 9x13, so yeah, this is not very compact, although I will say I tried my best. But regardless, this still gets the job done, which in the end, that's all that really matters. And as long as you have space, you don't mind tiling it out or mind building something to get around it to make it look nice, that's all that matters. But hey, we'll go and dive into this real quick, but at least want to show you guys how this looks. So essentially you have your first floor here and your second floor. I just have these little filler blocks here just to hold them off for a moment. But we're going to just go into the capsule. As simple as that. You click the button, you up. And there it is. So as soon as you get to the top, the doors open, and you can go and feel free to check it out. And if you go down here, you notice that the doors did close after you left. Like if I want to actually call it, let's say I'm on the first floor here and I actually want to go up, let's press the button here. It's going to send a signal. It's going to send it all the way back down. Wait a few seconds and then it'll open. I send it back up. Back up on its own. It's all the way to the top. And opens. Really simple. So I know a lot of people out there that really know the redstone could probably easily make this. More or less the most tricky part that I had to deal with was of course slime blocks and pistons. As most people know, pistons can only push 12 blocks at a time, so you got to make sure the orientation from which you have your slime blocks equal up to 12, or if it's doing more than 12, that you have 2 pistons on each side connecting together, so it kind of coherently kind of acts as helping one out or the other. But a lot of different designs, but I think it came down to this because this is the most simplest and it was also the most effective. I didn't have to use as many slime blocks, and I also didn't have to get too close or have to have any special things in here. But essentially, this is the one that's worked the best. Only things you really just got to make sure is that when you're building this, make sure you get those immovable blocks. If it be, I don't know, if you're on creative, use bedrock or use obsidian. But I like using furnaces because, furnaces are just kind of something real cheap to make. If you're in survival mode, you're trying to make this, literally 8 pieces of cobble and you got some stoppers here because these are immovable blocks. So when they go all the way up, they will not go any further with one of these, and when they go all the way down, you got some blocks down here that also stop its path. So we'll dive into the tutorial real quick, but yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like in its bare bones, and that's how it works. So let's go and get into it. Alright, here we are. And so essentially I got a little breakdown here for most of the material you'll need. In my inventory here I have the slime block, observer, sticky piston, pistons, furnaces, pretty much just something to see through. I mean, all this stuff right here isn't really mandatory. It could be anything you want. One thing that's important right here is the gray, or really just glazed terracotta. It doesn't really matter what color it is, actually, just as long as it's terracotta, because terracotta is used on the insides where the sticky pistons are running, because sticky pistons, or excuse me, the slime blocks here will actually not connect to any terracotta. It actually slides against it. So when you have some slime that's actually going right up on the rails, or right up on the side here of the elevator shaft, you don't want it taking blocks with it or getting stuck. So we just got to make sure we have terracotta in the right spots on this build, and that's pretty much what it's there for. But moreover, we actually have, of course, your stoppers for the furnaces, observers to make this whole thing run. But up here, go ahead and pause it here or just take a screenshot or something, but this is pretty much rough amount of what you need to make a very small elevator. Of course, you can make these things go as high as you want to, especially those people who are making these huge builds or going all the way down the bedrock. You might be making that thing very far. But essentially, this is the redstone component of what you need to make a basic one. It's going to increase mainly on, I want to say, dust and repeaters. Not so much torches or slime blocks. Slime blocks are staying, buttons are here just mainly, the 2 extra ones here are mainly for testing, but you mainly need at least 4. The pistons here, don't really need to add extra to those, just mainly the building blocks that you use for your entry level, the glass you may use for your elevator if you want to see through it. Some people don't want to see through it, etc. And then this down here is just going to be labeling my circuits, so don't really have to worry about much about that, but we'll go and get started on this stuff. Alright, now the first thing you probably want to do is, of course, get the actual elevator carriage. Now this is actually just a 3 tall piece with a bottom and top little cork here, but it's going to be open face for this side because you got to be able to walk in. So when you go and walk in right there, nice and easy, and have a lot of room in case you're falling straight down. So don't worry about that too much. But I have a little platform here just to kind of represent a ground level. I will admit you will need a lot of space here. That's roughly about 5 blocks there. So there will be some redstone that will be done underneath the carriage here later on. So just make sure you have a good bit of space there wherever you're at, even if you're building underground or if you build near bedrock for those very tall builds going up to the surface. Make sure you have enough room to do your redstone on the bottom. I cannot stress that enough. It should be 5 to 6 blocks. It shouldn't really matter exactly, but we'll get to more precisely later on. Again, I don't have a very concise and very constricted build here, so you have a lot of room for leeway of whatever you like. But pretty much you can just add our walls here so you can have an idea of where everything's going to be at. I'm not going to make it too long here, just enough to get the point across. But this is mainly built for those little small rooms, because again, the doors will shut and cover up this whole space right here. So this is what the door will look like if the elevator's not here, and then we'll have our button. So we'll put all that stuff here later, but essentially, I mean, you can really have a really large room and just funnel down to just one little 2x3 door, but that's pretty much the closing door that I'm showing you guys how to make on here. Feel free if you have any other ideas or suggestions on how to make these doors a little bit better, just let me know. I really am free to a lot of constructive criticism, so as long as it improves me, that's all that matters. I know I have a lot of room to grow when it comes to redstone, but at least for now I can at least show some other people how this works and hopefully get some more ideas brewing. Nonetheless, again, what I've been doing right here is getting all these pistons already set up. Oops, got the wrong one right there. Make sure it's pretty much ready to close, because again, when it closes, it's going to have everything up right there. I'm going to go ahead and put some little special blocks here so it looks kind of cool, and I'm going to keep that wood. These blocks right here are really not mandatory, but it's only really there so you don't fall down or drop into a little hole. So these things aren't really going to be moving. They can be, again, whatever block you want. These are going to be sliding in right there on both sides, and these are going to be sliding in right here to up and down, so you don't have to worry about that. If you wanted a 3x3 door, that would take a lot of work. I know you have to move out a piston and then pushes out another piston. So if you really want the 3x3 to really match up with this tall door here, go ahead, be my guest. But it'd be a little bit more redstone work for that. And I don't want that headache right now. But essentially, you want a little one gap here. These are going to be your door areas. And then we'll go ahead and get the next started here in just a second. Alright, next here, just went in and add this little extra part here. So as you can probably already tell, it was a little empty. Pretty much got myself terracotta here because this is actually going to have some slime blocks underneath it. I want to make sure it is not sticking to our elevator or the other parts of our wall. So we're going to put terracotta here so it can smooth on by. Again, it can be any color you want as long as it's glazed terracotta. That's all that matters. I'm not too sure if it works on regular terracotta, but I'm pretty sure glaze is the reason why it doesn't stick. I'll go ahead and put that in right there, and this is going to be the area where we're actually going to have our button. And I will say be careful with your redstone placement here later. Make sure you do not have your terracotta here on the sides because you will need to put your redstone there. Unfortunately, if you try to put that redstone signal straight down from the button, it will activate this piston right here. So we will be putting it off to the side, actually specifically about right here. So redstone will be still activated from here when the button is pressed. So that's actually what we're going to be working off here later. That's essentially how you get that going. Just make sure we have the terracotta there in that place. Now, pretty much you want to run it up as tall as you really want to. It really does not matter. But essentially, I'm just going to do it just tall enough to show a big difference here. There will be some redstone in place, so yeah, there will be probably maybe like, I don't know, 5 or 6 blocks here you could actually see through without seeing redstone in it, and that's fine, doesn't matter. But really just showing you here more of the idea of how much terracotta you need and how high it's going to be. It can go way up, way down, it doesn't matter. This build is free to work as high as you want. You just got to understand you'll be needing more materials for redstone and such for your building materials. Secondly, I went ahead and just copied what I had down there here at the very top, right where this capped off here in the little top here, little turn. I went ahead and just gave it 2 blocks space, put down my chiseled little blocks here just to represent where the buttons are going to be, etc, etc. Same deal. Do make sure you have your indents cut out right here. You will not see this when you're in an elevator. Remember, you're only seeing this one little slot right here. So do not worry about it. Just make sure we have those indented out, or really we only need to work on one side here. So I'll go and actually cut that off, but not like it really matters. But this is going to be only really one side we're working with. The signal doesn't need to go 2 ways. Unless you want to be very symmetrical, feel free to. Just make sure all the builds go the exact same side. But we'll just be minimalist here and just work with what we got. But just make sure both sides are completely copied. Make sure we have the pistons all around that little center there. Because again, they are going to be closing right here. And have your blocks all the way down here when it is not used. Alright, let's get into the actual moving part. So, I want to stress, be careful with this part. So, we will be having the slime blocks go in a little L formation here. On the bottom, go right here on both sides. They're going to pretty much mirror each other. But again, I want to stress, make sure you place your furnaces on the sticky piston parts. Do not worry, they will not move them. These are immovable objects. They cannot be grabbed. They cannot be moved or moved with a piston. So do not worry about it. Don't put that there. But pretty much on the bottom here, you want to make sure it has a ground area so that when it comes back down, it's going to stop exactly at that point to where it's on the first floor here. Essentially, if you don't want to wait until this is built, you can actually just go ahead and theorize where it's going to be when it gets to the top. I mean, you can kind of see here, but you can pretty much make yourself a little mock little piece here and kind of see exactly where it's going to be. And you can see that when it gets to the top, it's going to have this again. All the way up there, and essentially you're going to need to block it. Where's my furnace? Block it right here, here, and here. So now when it comes all the way to the top, it's going to stop there. When it gets all the way to the bottom, it's going to stop there. It's going to go nowhere else. It's not going to fly down to the bottom. It's not going to fly up to the sky and lose it forever. So do not worry about that. But essentially, those are very important keys you want to make sure you have. But essentially, the reason why I have the slime blocks in the order that they are, this is taking the top and all the side pieces. Each one of these is taking the bottom piece and all the side pieces. So this is grabbing every single side, and it's also making sure that the entire unit is supported. Now, I will also say be careful with your directions for your observers, like anything. Redstone base, you just want to be very particular with everything that you do for these, because these things can mess up. Or don't really worry about it too much, we'll get there when we get there. But nonetheless, I might have actually put these in the wrong location, so disregard my last statement. We will be moving these. Let me go ahead and actually put it right here. So I forgot about the actual moving part. You will be needing to actually have your observers facing out both ways here, and then have your sticky pistons facing in like so. Because this actually, just this 2x4 right here is actually the flying elevator part. This is just stuck to everything else right here though. So actually you want to make sure you have your furnaces about right there. I'll go ahead and copy it over to the other side here. Put it down. Just like that. And make sure you go again, have your furnace right here at the very bottom. And we'll do the same for this one, but pretty much you want to get that all set up. Alright, now that we got everything all in place, we got our flying blocks all ready to go. These things are pretty much ready to launch. Although, the way that these things work is they essentially take in any block update from the front of this one where the observer little face is there, kind of look at you all stern. Pretty much it takes whatever block is right here, and sends a very short tick impulse to this piston right here to activate whenever it notices a block change. So what I actually do is actually place pistons right here, and when they see the arm move, they see the block that's right here, this air block that's actually in front of it's being updated with a piston extension. So it recognizes there's a change and will move. So the actual activation for this elevator is actually based on just redstone signals going straight to these regular pistons. I mean, you can make it literally anything. You can make it actually sticky piston. As long as it doesn't grab anything, you're fine. I just use pistons because it's simple. You don't have to add the extra slime to it, but again, that's just more or less my concept, but feel free to, again, use it as you please. So I'm going to go ahead and have them pretty much set up to be able to, just like that. That's what I'm talking about right there. If you place it right underneath, it's going to automatically go ahead and set it off, but the good thing we actually had our furnaces here, so I'm actually going to set it off to go back down. Sadly though, I did not move that center once. The cyan terracotta there didn't really come back down. But again, be careful when you're placing these. That's pretty much the prime example why you should be careful with it. But again, we'll go ahead and get this all set up here with our pistons, and it should look roughly like this. And feel free to put it in any direction you want. I make it like this, so when they extend, they're not really grabbing anything, they're not really pushing anything, and they're not being stuck to the sticky pistons. Be careful where you put your pistons when it's on the bottom here. Make it exactly like mine if you can, because again, this will make it extremely hard later on if you are trying to make it this close or more compact than what I have, because again, you will have things that stick onto these slime blocks, so be careful about that. So I'll go ahead and run some redstone around these. So essentially you can actually test this system if you want to right now. We'll go ahead and just run all this redstone here and put a button and go to launch. You see they are all synchronized. It goes all the way to the top. And that's where it stops. Now you just got to make sure you have your pistons for these now. Face that one inwards. That one there. Make sure you get that one as well. Now we'll just run ourselves a little wire here. And I'll use cyan terracotta down here. I actually should be using my colors, so let's go ahead and change that real quick. Go ahead and use this to be, let's go ahead and make this blue. So we'll just represent blue here for our redstone. Oops, didn't need to do that. Pressing across here. So again, all three of these will push and pretty much activate it all the way up. Once it's all the way up, we're going to make our other set of blue up here just so we can represent the activation for these pistons. Don't know why that booger is right there. It's just being dumb. Okay, it just likes being really dumb. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, that is really, really dumb. Do not know why it's doing that. Alright, I'll just fix this because again, I am very illiterate when it comes to redstone. I just know the basics, so give me just a second here. Alright, excuse me there. Looks like I actually saw a block in some place right here, like one of these blue bulls kind of messed it up. But yeah, you can pretty much mess up your whole system here. I pretty much had that all going on, and then I had some other issue. Essentially, yeah, just watch out where you're placing all these blocks. You'll end up like me, like every single time I ever do this. So again, you just want to make sure we have some pistons here. I actually probably want to place them in a little bit more safer position this time. Something that won't be as too close as it normally is. I'm good at piston here. Again, it can be exactly wherever you want, just as long as it's not really interfering with any other redstone. That's all that really matters. I think this is what I had on my last design here. Something very simple, just straight across and up. So if you press the button, send them all on their way. Essentially, we just got to go ahead and add our other blue line up here for our activation. Across. Oops. If you want to go ahead and press the button again and send it back down, you pretty much already have yourself a working elevator. Just one from which you can't ride yourself yet. So yeah, that's one thing you can't do. You cannot ride this by yourself, but this is essentially a working elevator. So congratulations, you got yourself a flying machine that is not flying up to the sky or into the ground. Alright, The next part, we just want to add the doors part. So we want to make it to where when the doors are ready to be wired up, they're just going to be ready to go. So we're first going to make sure they can at least be all connected properly. I just like putting repeaters into them. You don't even have to put them in here. This is just what I recommend just in case. But I mean, you can simply just run redstone across. But I like doing this just in case because you can control exactly timing. I know some people like a little order effect where it goes in. You can make it like a little circular kind of path if you want to. I'm just going to make it all the exact same time so it looks a lot cleaner. But essentially, you just want this little block powering here, because if you actually put a torch on this, it actually extends both because it puts power into both of these blocks here. That's the main reason why I have the signal up here in the first place. If you put it on the bottom, only activates the bottom. Put it on the top, it only activates the top. This will activate both. But if I actually put my torch here, it actually will get every single one except the bottom one. So there will be one side. I normally recommend you do it the left side if you want your activation button right here, just for space, more or less. So if you want to actually get your next line here and actually add it down, so we're going to put it all the way down here. But add a repeater. Now if I actually activate it with power source or per se, all sides are closed and the door's back open. We'll connect this mainly later to the other components, but this is mainly, again, just a very simple way of getting all the pistons to actually open and close. Alright, what I got right here is actually going to be our green line. This is going to be our activation line. This is going to be the one where we call the elevator if it's up top, or we call the elevator if it's from the bottom. So this is actually just going to have a redstone decline and a redstone ladder right here. We'll go ahead and get that set up really quick. So if we want to go straight up, of course, the best way to do that is through torches. So if I actually go ahead and press this, you will see nothing works because I don't have it in the right spot. Now you will see it actually activate. So go ahead and get your little ladder done here. I was actually good at this, be a lot faster. Alright, you don't want it to actually interfere with the other line there, so we'll go ahead and move it to the side. We'll have it go this way, and this is actually going to connect up to our line right here. Actually, we'll go out one more. Reason why is because if you actually activate this at a different time, it will mess up the timing for our little drop here. So you want to make sure you actually have two different repeaters here, because when the line comes in, if you actually, because again, we have a very long line here, and even if I put a repeater here at the very end, it's going to take a lot of blocks for this to get over here, and it might not make it all the way across, depending how big your unit is. I just do this just as precaution. If you have a repeater on both sides, the time it takes from this to go to here and this to go to here and here are the same, so it goes down at the same time. So yeah, again, just make sure that the distance is set pretty nice. And I'm also going to make sure this is turned and it's not affecting it, which it does not. So my terrible knowledge in Redstone actually paid off, because actually this will not connect. Okay, good. But no, when I press this will actually launch it back down. So actually, let me send it up just to test to see if it works here. Oh yeah, we haven't hooked it up yet. Ooh. Alright, now we'll actually send it up. Alright, now we want to call it back down. We're going to go and click on this button right here. It worked! And it's coming out at the same time. That's what you want to see. Essentially, that is your call up button. Now all we have to do is actually bring this signal down. Now let's see if we can go ahead and do that. Actually going to do the step ladder approach here. At least that's what I like to call it. There might be an actual name for it, I'm just not too sure. Dust. I like this one though, because you can actually turn this one in any which direction that you need. Back down right here. And thankfully this is diagonal from one another, so it will not affect each other when they're going down. And if it does, and at least I thought so, at least last time I did this, I don't know, it could have been this close in my last little test over there, I'm not too sure. I'll see here in a few seconds. But regardless, we'll see how this goes. Those will not be affected. Drop it again. I just want to get it out of the way so we can actually make it go all the way down here. Or actually, you know what? We can keep going down, it's fine. redstone dust. Actually put it to the side so this actually doesn't connect right here. Again, our torch. Now here's getting pretty close. We just got one more. Alright, now that one's not activated. That's kind of what I wanted. It makes things a lot easier, at least for me later on. But essentially, we just want this to happen. We just want to be able to make it to where it gets all the way over here. It is good. So again, repeater's not really necessary. They're there just to make sure that everything's really running fine and there's no loss of red signal strength. But normally I think it's 12, I think it's about 16 blocks so you start losing signal strength, but I always kind of put them in just in case for buffers. Again, don't really worry about it too much. But now, if I wanted to call it from up here, I launched it. You can see it's actually running simultaneously, the blocks aren't off, and you can actually use the call buttons correctly, which is good. But if you're in the elevator, you can't really tell yourself to go up and down, so we'll go ahead and get that in here pretty much right now. So this is what I was talking about before. You want to make sure you have this little gap right here. That's going to be really important for what we're about to do. And you want your terracotta, because anything you see in this row or any other places where you are going to be touching the slime blocks, you want to make sure that you have terracotta next to it so it just slides easily. So again, I actually probably want to call it down here real quick. Thank God that we have our buttons working. I want you to call it down here so you can actually see exactly what we're working with. But again, I'd probably say just use terracotta for this part. I'm not really going to mess with it much. But it's essentially going to be the activation for it itself. Actually, we could probably make it a lot easier. I can make a little shortcut here. Probably just do this. I didn't even think about this in my last one. I would easily just call it. Just like that. So, redstone will not backfire. This is meant to only go down. The ladder that we have right here is only going down. This torch can only go up. So don't worry about redstone when it's feeding backwards to this. It is backwards protected. Oops, got some extra redstone there. Hope it wasn't from something I broke. That is me. Well, pretty much this button's going to be able to activate it and actually send it up. So let's actually go ahead and click on that. Yeah, one thing you want to make sure is not there is the fact of redstone really getting other parts here. So 1 second. Go and make sure that this is not connected here. I'll press the button again. Nope, still doing it. Okay, give me a couple seconds so I can figure out my issue. Again, I am very redstone illiterate. Give me just 1 second. Alright, I saw my issue. I actually had a redstone signal go underneath it right here, so I just want to make sure I moved that. I actually just made it a little more compact. Maybe run the line, the green line, actually to right here instead. Again, it's not going to really matter. If you press the button, it's only going to activate these three now. But again, it's still better than having it run right next to this piston. So now, press the button again. That piston's not working. Again, I do apologize. I got a lot to learn when it comes to those small little details. But essentially, that's pretty much going to automatically launch that one, and it's not backfiring, so it's not going to, I mean, even if it did backfire, it won't really do anything, but it takes care of the launching. So if I actually pull this back down, oh, we haven't even set that one up yet. I actually pull this one back down with our call button here. I go ahead and test it. And this time you can actually write in it. Which is awesome. Now let's go ahead and set up the second one here real quick. Make sure I'm looking at perfect. Alright, right here. So again, actually I'm going to start using that technique because that seems a lot better. Oh, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and put my redstone right here. Actually, all the way across. The technique I did last time was just put a bunch of repeaters here, because if you put it across, it will not be in contact with the blocks that's next to it. So if you put it in the corners, again, don't really worry about it, but you also don't want your systems across here. Just put a little block to prevent that, you should be good. But this is going to send your redstone signal this way. Just make sure it's covered and not interfering with your other lines here. But this redstone signal is going to go right here, it's going to pass and go back this way. So actually if we press, if we press our button here, we'll actually launch it. Well, figuratively launch it. If I can run over there really quickly and see the redstone signal. Yeah, you kind of saw the little flash there, but the redstone signal went by, didn't really mess with anything. So now we just got to make sure it's hooked up, or actually, should leave this open here. This will connect to our activation system. Again, not thinking clearly. As you can tell, I have not a lot of room to make this thing more compact, and I just tend to learn things the more I build on it. But hey, this will automatically send it to those, and actually, let's see if it works. Launching at the same time, beautiful. That's exactly what we're looking for. So now you physically have an elevator. You can go to any given floor. Be on the next one and say, oh shoot, I'm on the wrong floor. I pressed the button by accident. Can fall down. And as you probably saw when I was going up and down right here, I was not hurting myself. Even if I go into game mode survival, I will show you. Here, let me go ahead and call it up here. It will not hurt you. In survival, as you can tell, I have my hearts here, so you can tell I'm actually going to be able to be hurt if possible. No, I just want to go ahead and go down. Does not hurt at all. Go back to creative here. So one thing you want to also make sure you hurt and make sure that it doesn't hurt is if you have other writers who are particularly not so knowledgeable of your builds and like to move around, well, make sure you have your glass pane here, or at least your glass blocks, so they can keep themselves all contained within. Again, I'm not making this one look beautiful, I'm just showing you guys the functionality of this one. I could probably spend another few hours making this thing look nice. I have before my own personal server where I actually first discovered how to build this one. Not going to get into detail, I'm just again showing you guys how to make this. But again, now you have your working elevator for everything except for the doors. We'll get into that right now. Alright, so last thing you need to do is to make sure that these doors open and close. Now, the only way that I'm doing it is again through observers. So what the observer is going to do is observe when a block reaches the top point, which you want to pick the tippy topmost point here without touching a slime block. That's very important. It will take it with it. Without touching a slime block, so mostly like a piece of the elevator shaft or the carriage or whatever else the carriage. You want to make sure it's either that or another observer. So I'll actually show you the two places where I have mine on this one, but again, it's going to be a lot easier. We're pretty much going to make toggles on them, so pretty much when it sees it, it's going to go ahead and flip on the switch, and when it sees it happen again, it's going to flip it back off. So this is actually one of those things I really like using here. So we'll go ahead and get this flip-flop gate all set up here. So if you guys do not know, switches are pretty much called flip-flops, because again, they just flip between two different states whenever they're activated. But we'll go ahead and set this up with our orange wire here. So first off, make sure we're actually using the left side here for our connections. We're going to actually make the bottom one observed here. Let's do this one right here. So the observer is actually facing towards this one. You can tell by the red dot here, that means it's facing out. So we're going to go ahead and make our orange line here. I'm going to say to go down to the floor, just so I have a little more room to use this. Make it out of the way from all of our sticky pistons here. So we'll go ahead and run a redstone line down. Let's go. Redstone here. Now, one thing I will be stressing here is how to place this. So again, if you are too close to pistons, you probably want to be a little careful as to not disrupt anything else that's going on in here. But bring it out to about right here. You still want to stay underneath your build, not to get too close to things. About right here should be fine. Then this is going to be your output block. So this is going to be the one that's actually giving you everything. Place the repeaters like so. Out, in, this one facing back in. I'm going to go ahead and get my redstone torch here and connect it there, connect it there. Also make sure you have some redstone panel right here. And you want to place yourself a little button right here as well. This is going to be our test block. So we can actually switch the states personally right here. And you'll see actually if I just put some redstone out, if I were to click this, it's going to switch between the on state, and if it receives another signal, and switch between the on state. The actual signal is going into this block. So actually one big important thing too is make sure you have a repeater here set to 4 ticks, because when you receive a signal by this, remember it's pretty much a very short tick here. So you want to actually elongate that signal to be 1 regular tick, and that's going to go directly into the box there. So make sure this repeater is here. It is very important, but this will pretty much get you all set for that. So let's go ahead and get this hook up real quick. We're actually going to have this go about right here. Then set up. Oops, let's not do that quite yet. Right here. Actually, make sure it stays away from redstone torch, and also don't want to get it too close to this little bottom part here. Throw redstone to the side. Or actually, you should be able to just simplify it right there. Yep, should be able to work just like that. Go ahead and get this right here. Okay, perfect. So now if I switch it, they're actually going to close. Switch it again. Be just like that. So at least we got the bottom part all set up. Now that we're going to go ahead and work on the top, we pretty much already got the bottom set here. So actually, good thing you also want to note too is you actually have this button here. It helps you at least get this thing set up. Now that this is in the bottom position, you want to make sure that the gate is open or that the doors are open. Because if you set it like this, when they leave, it's actually going to open, and then you have those guys who don't really know what they're doing, drop down the elevator shaft, hurt themselves, then yell at you for making a piece of crud. So make sure this is actually set to open, not closed. Mainly the reason why that button's there for testing, but again, it also sets the elevator to be exactly how you like. So when it leaves, it shuts. So once it receives that signal, it's going to go ahead and shut it, and it's going to only go off next time that it receives the next signal, and that signal is only going to be here when the elevator is right here. So we'll go ahead and make the top part now. Again, we're going to make sure we're using our orange wool here so we know that this is our activation signal for this part right here. I'm actually going to go ahead and use the very top right here because this is a non-sticky piston part. Kind of the tallest parts we have on every single one's always sticky pistons, and these are too close to this redstone, so this one will work just fine. Just be very careful with this one. I have to make sure this one goes out pretty far because you don't want it to interfering again with this piston or any of the other redstone. So I'll have it go pretty far out, have get its block here. So we'll go ahead and add the 4, turn around here, make sure it's not affected. Actually, take it out one more just in case. So you should have, again, all your redstone along here, blocks here, it's going to be your output. And you can make this compact as you like. This is just me not really being too good at making things compact. But again, I will learn in time. We're going to go across there, make sure we have our redstone torches. It's pretty much activated. Again, you want to make this set to 4 ticks, because again, this only sends off a very short pulse. It will not go through the system correctly if you do not have this set to 4 ticks. Make sure that's set off. And then now your redstone dust is free to be connected to the lower region here. You can actually just wire this straight across. And I always put a little repeater in here just for safe measure. You don't really need one, it's fine, but I put it there just in case. You know what? Yeah, let's just keep it as in case. I won't second guess myself, it doesn't matter. Anyways, this is creative. But again, this will work properly now. So again, if the elevator's up here, it should be open. So this is actually already set. We don't even really need this test button here. So again, it's fine. But again, we'll press it just in case, just to show you the fact that it does work. It does open and close. So you pretty much got that all set here. So now if you want to go ahead and go, we'll launch and it'll close the doors. It'll go all the way down. Doors will open. And that's pretty much the entire thing. I mean, this thing looks very sloppy, but this thing gets the job done. And again, a lot of people look, again, for efficiency, for going up and down the fastest. I know some people use soul sand and magma block elevators, ladder elevators. Actually, 2x1 piston elevators are actually extremely fast. I've seen all those tutorials. Again, those are way better for speed and efficiency. I just built this because I thought it actually felt cool, and I felt like it was something, again, wasn't going to take too much work for me. And again, the fact that it is a flying elevator saves a lot of work in redstone having to be done up this entire shaft here. Again, there's actually a big empty area in the middle that you really do not have to worry about because that's just the traveling area. Because again, you can make them go way up to the sky or way down to bedrock, and there's literally not much work to really be done in between because the flying machine literally will just go to its parameters from the bottom to the top. So yeah, we pretty much have our full working elevator here. So again, thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure you like and subscribe if you can, share it to your friends. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about this build, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Again, I did show the instructions. If you guys have any questions with them in particular or had some issues, bring it to my attention and I will help you out. Until then, this is TimeFlash Build Team with TimeFlash checking it out. You guys take care.